What is going on, everyone? We are back in the old saddle. How the heck are you guys doing? It feels great to be back talking some Packers football. For a lot of you, I never went away. I was still live every Tuesday playing Madden. But I know not everyone likes the Madden streams, and that's not their vibe. So I'm happy that we are back talking football in our usual format. I expect it to be a little we'll figure out our groove here in a little bit, but let's see who's checking in. We got Mr. Carter coming in from Arizona. Love the clips in the waiting room. Thank you, sir. Put that together. Nice. We've always done like the still image of like, oh, I'll be live soon, but I felt like it was pretty boring. Like you and I talked about, Casey, people never knew if it was just like a frozen image or if there's something wrong with their video. So I wanted to mix it up a little bit. We got the Tullys coming in from Altoona, Iowa. Ron's in here from Appleton. Good to see you, Ron. Sway Coda says, what is crack-a-lack-a-lackin', boys and girls? And we got Ty here. MJ's in the building. We got a good company here. All right. So, hey, Callie Ben's here. Good to see you, man. What is up? All right. So before we get into anything, here's the giveaway link. My mouse is having some issues. Here's the giveaway link. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Yeah, Tom and I ran into each other at family night. Always good to meet people. Good to officially meet you, Tom. Awesome talking with you. Glad to see you had safe travels back. So here's some updates on this season for the live show compared to previous years. So this season, we're no longer going to do a streak counter. In the past, we did this thing here. I'll flip it on. We did this thing here. Okay. Streak counter is great, but I feel weird about it because if someone misses it because they have a life event going on, then they feel like they've lost out. Instead, what I'm going to do is every single week, those who are here, I'm going to add an amount to their thing on the counter. So even if you have to miss a week here or there, you're still going to be in the banner. I like to show people who are supporting me. I like to show them. So we're doing that. Secondly, every week you're here, you're entering into a final giveaway. We did this during the off season. It was a lot of fun, but every week you're here, that amount towards the last show, which will be the Tuesday after the Super Bowl, you will get those many entries into that giveaway. For that giveaway, we are going to do an Antonio Freeman signed jersey for that giveaway. So hang out every Tuesday if you'd like to increase your chances for that final giveaway. A little bit of extra incentive. But yeah, above and beyond that, I'm just excited to get back talking some Packers football. We got Steve here. Welcome, owners, to the 26 to 27 owners meeting. Yes, sir. MJ says no street counter for Kirby's or Tullys. They'll still be on the ticket. So don't you worry about that. Well, we officially have some football to talk about. Better take a drink to get ready to talk about it. And you can tell it's officially football season because the overreactions are back, baby. The Packers fall to the Steelers 28-9. And you would have thought, based off of some of the comments on my social media, you would have thought that was a meaningful football game. I had numerous comments, some from Bears fans chirping about losing in a preseason game. Yes, because we know preseason is a very good way to determine how your season is going to go. You can just ask the 2009 Lions, who won all 4 preseason games and then proceeded to lose 16 regular season games. And then on the flip side, you have teams that do well in preseason and win everything. So preseason is meaningless. You could lose all out. You could win all out. I only care about watching the depth and watching the key players in that moment. The score is meaningless to me. In fact, I don't know about you guys, but I was actually hoping the Packers were going to be stalling out on offense. I wanted to see Trey Smack do his thing. Kirby. Dakota's already trolling. Can we cut Jordan Love already? Joshua, yeah, man. So before we get too much in the game, Joshua says, missed you Sunday. I went down to Packers practice on Sunday with my family. I honestly wasn't there super long, Joshua. My son, my wife, and we went down there, and my son just turned 3. So we got some high fives from some players. I can talk about that story, but we got some high fives from some players, and then we watched practice for just a little bit, hit up the pro shop, walked around there, and then headed home because it was time for my son's nap. So bummer, I didn't get to see you. I was keeping my head on a swivel like a one-eyed cat, but I didn't see you. Hopefully next time you're in town. Travis, go Pack, go! Good to see you, man. But hey, Bill, some good faces here. Good to see you, Bill. But yeah, I don't know if you guys were like me. I was kind of hoping the offense was going to stall out a little bit more because of the fact that I wanted to see Trey Smack have to make some kicks. And it didn't disappoint. He went 3 for 3 on the night, technically 4 for 4, with a 58-yard long, which that kick had plenty of leg on it yet. And Heinz Field, I'm not going to call it by its new name. It is Heinz Field. It's just like, Miller Park changed to some name. I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to call it by whatever it is now. It's Heinz Field. Heinz Field isn't the easiest field to kick in. So seeing Trey go 4 for 4, the extra one that he made that didn't count, there was a roughing the holder penalty that ended up giving the Packers a free first down, and then Trey kicked the field goal for that one later on. But I was very impressed to see what we saw from Trey when after the Packers were going through OTAs and start of camp, there's, he was having some issues with misses, and, people were panicking, and it was nice to see him get his opportunity in a game. Family night, he had a good showing. He missed one kick at family night, and then to have that performance in Pittsburgh was great to see. There's going to be ups and downs. It is not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. There is going to be up and downs. He is a young kicker. We saw the same struggles with Mason. Kickers go through, their slumps, and they come back out of it. Anytime you are a new kicker on the team and you're trying to figure out that dynamic with the holder, you're going to have some oddness to it. So I think it's something we're going to have to be patient with. There's going to be times where he misses kicks that you're like, oh, damn it, here we go again. But we're going to have to be patient. He at least, unlike Anders Carlson, he at least has performed well in college football with a field goal percentage in the 80s, like mid 80s. And I think, he has an incredible leg. So big leg, can make some pretty far kicks. So I'm excited to see what we can get out of him this year. But I was very happy to see some of those drives stall out because I wanted to see what he was going to do in those moments, and he didn't disappoint. Patrick's here. Good to see you, Patrick. MJ says the preseason game was rigged to welcome McCarthy back. Joshua says we're sitting at the 50-yard line. Yeah, I don't go into the stands, especially with my little guy. He doesn't have the patience for it. Ty says field goals don't win games, but they help. Amen, Ty. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that loss to the Bears in the wild card round, if McManus would have made some of those kicks, we would have went on to the next one. McManus left 9 points on the board there. So those are crucial things. Like you said, they don't tend to win you games, but they certainly can lose you ones fast. Speaking of McCarthy coming back home type of thing, I was very bummed and kind of surprised that game was in Pittsburgh. Obviously, the NFL, I mean, at the time, I don't think the NFL, when they're doing their scheduling, the NFL didn't know if Rodgers was going to be coming back. I don't even know, I don't remember the timeline. I think McCarthy was a coach for them already, but it would have been really cool to have that game be at Lambeau Field and for Packer fans to get that opportunity to kind of give one last goodbye to Aaron Rodgers. one last, maybe not one last, but one welcome home for McCarthy. I know McCarthy has came in against the Packers already before at Lambeau Field, but it would have been nice to be able to kind of welcome them both back in a preseason game where it's not a meaningful game by any means. And I think it would have been nice. I would have loved to have gone if it would have been in Lambeau Field just to kind of, I don't know, give one last farewell to Aaron. I really wish I could have went to that game because I really wish I could go to Pittsburgh this year to watch a Steelers game, but unfortunately it's not in the cards. But yeah, I was really hoping that was going to be at Lambeau Field. It would have been nice just to see the old man one last go. It's I don't know. We've talked about this before, but it's a pretty surreal thing that this is it for Aaron Rodgers. You know, I as a kid I grew up with Favre, and Aaron took over just as I got out of high school. I graduated in '07. Aaron started in '08. So I grew up as a child with Brett Favre, but I feel like I have a closer connection with Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback because of the fact that I grew up as an adult with Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know that we necessarily always think about how fortunate we are as Packers fans. I'm 37 years old, and in my lifetime, I know 3 franchise quarterbacks for this team right now. Aaron Rodgers, or Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love. And it's a very surreal thing. My son's first jersey was an Aaron Rodgers jersey that we picked up at a garage sale. Someone was selling it. He was already off the team at this point, and now he's picked out 2 Jordan Love jerseys since. We got one when he was like, pretty young, like a year and a half, 2 years old, and now we just picked out another one at the pro shop for him. But it's wild to think that his first jersey was an Aaron Rodgers jersey. My first jersey was a Brett Favre jersey, and those 2 events happened 30 years apart from one another. And it just goes to show you, the like goes to show you how fortunate we are. You can say all you want about like, oh, they only got 2 Super Bowls between the 2 of them, but I still think we're extremely fortunate. We are extremely fortunate. Tony, what's up, man? Good to see you back. Dakota, I'm gonna save this for the burning hot questions. We got that coming up again. MJ says, "Love my new Favre jersey I found." Yeah, man, what a steal at the old thrift store. Along with Trace Mack, I was very happy to see some of that pass rush early on in the game. LVN got a sack right away. Brenton Cox got a sack. Warren Brinson should have had a sack. The quarterback escaped. Almost made, was it Mason Rudolph? Mason Rudolph at that point almost made one of the craziest throws or plays I've seen. That way he escaped, hit that receiver in the back of the end zone. Receiver just came down with one as opposed to getting both down. So that was a play for sure by that Pittsburgh team. But it would have been nice to see Brinson follow through. But I feel like Brinson's had a pretty nice family night. He had some pretty good plays there. I'm excited to see what he does against Denver in going forward. Unfortunately, there's not a lot more pros to go into it. I think Brandon Cisse is looking like a great corner for the Packers. He had that beautiful open field tackle. I thought for sure that was a touchdown, and ended up taking out the running back's legs, preventing that. They ended up going for it on 4th down and failed to convert. So that was great to see. There's no surprise, but our cornerbacks have definitely lacked that physicality as of late. So it's nice to see that kind of come through in Brandon, and hopefully we see it continue. It was also kind of fun, only because it was preseason. It was also kind of fun to see Robert Tonyan making some big plays. He torched the Packers on a few there. I thought he had that touchdown, but they called him down at the 1. That beautiful play on his end. It was really fun to see him back out there. I think he's probably it's probably a little bit more of an uphill battle for him to make that team. However, Aaron Rodgers probably has some influence on that. And if Aaron does have influence on that, it wouldn't surprise me if Robert makes that team. But good on him. He had that really bad knee injury when he was with the Packers towards the tail end. He's kind of jumped around a little bit since then. But maybe he'll have a great year this year with Pittsburgh. I was surprised that he's been 10 years in the league already. It's crazy how that goes. I see Joshua asking some questions here. Kirby says if Tampa Bay / New England didn't win 6 in that same time frame, the Green Bay only has 2 Super Bowl crowd would be quiet. That anomaly happens, happening skewed everything. Yeah, it seems like there's always that one franchise that just, I don't know what it is, right? They have luck on their side and they have talent on their side. You saw Patriots obviously have a hell of a run. Kansas City had a hell of a run. And I think anytime those franchises go on these crazy dynasty runs that are such an anomaly, that people start thinking that it's just that easy. And those things are very, very hard. Like you look over Tom's Super Bowl appearances, and there have been numerous plays where if the ball just bounces another way, the Patriots don't make it, or the Patriots don't win the Super Bowl. And then on the flip side, if the ball bounces another way, they probably win 2 more Super Bowls, or they make more Super Bowls. So that's just the way the football goes sometimes. Is you have to get your chip in a chair and hope that not only you're good enough, but that you're lucky enough. And those are tough tough things to achieve. But Joshua, I see another question. I love the questions. Appreciate you coming in. Yeah, MJ, that kind of brings me to my next point here. Good transition. MJ says, good to see them weeding through players and have already released a quarterback. So Kyron Jones looked pretty rough. He looked pretty sloppy. A lot of bad mistakes, running backwards, big losses, negative plays. He kind of just looked out of his element and ultimately got trimmed out, got released the next day. The NFL is a very cold business in that regard, but you hope that he can go on and find something else and find a job elsewhere. I think that is the really tough part about preseason, is the fact that, and frankly, it's one of the things that I love about preseason is the fact that these guys are all fighting for a job. And I think that's what makes preseason really interesting for me to watch, is you have guys out there, whether they're undrafted guys or late round picks, who are fighting for a job. They're fighting to do anything they can to try to make the Packers or the Packers practice squad, but above and beyond that, to try to make any team or practice squad for any team. Every week is an audition for them, and they are putting in the effort to make that happen. It doesn't always work out for some guys, but you find some diamonds in the rough, in the past, the Sam Shields, the Tramon Williams, these guys that were unwanted, undrafted. Maybe they had people trying to get them there for camp, and they end up going on to be incredible players for the Packers. Tramon just got inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame. Probably one of my, like, my up there for my Packers list of as far as favorite players. That 2010 postseason run is something I don't think I'll ever be able to witness again throughout sports. That 2 interception game in Atlanta, one bringing it home for a touchdown. He just got hot at the right time and made a lot of incredible plays. Broke up that last pass in Super Bowl XLV to bring home the title, and just a phenomenal player, and a player that 2 years prior, when he was 2009 season, he was kind of a liability on that team, and he really turned it around through, putting in the hours and putting in, paying his dues. And you never know. And I think that's the beautiful thing about preseason games, is you just don't know. There are a lot of guys that can go on and make a meaningful impact in this game of football that were undrafted guys and no one wanted. So I think that's the fun thing about watching these preseasons. I still remember watching Sam Shields, family night, and his performance there in some of those preseason games. And I'm like, this dude's going to make the roster. This guy's absolutely thriving, fast cornerback. He can kind of make up on his mistakes, and then to see what he did, So I love that about preseason football. I'm excited to see us continue on with it and see who stands out. Another con of that game is towards the tail end of the game, it seemed like the pass rush kind of just disappeared on us. But I don't know if play calling changes that. Maybe kind of get into a more vanilla play calling, but it seemed like the defensive backs couldn't get off the field. They kept kind of panicking and getting some defensive holding or DPI, and ended up giving some free first downs where they could have gotten off the field. But that's why you're playing preseason, right? You're gonna work through those issues, and you're playing with a squad that third string, fourth string, seeing who can provide that special teams depth or that depth on the team if needed. Kind of some training camp talk. Seems like there's a little bit of drama going on right now for the Packers. Matt LaFleur said, obviously, talking about cornerback battles in camp, Matt said, obviously, it starts with doing your right assignment, and then it comes down to your style of play, how you compete, and how you go after the ball, not only in the pass game, but in the run game as well. Are you sticking your nose in there? We need corners that are willing and capable tacklers. Keyshawn Nixon kind of felt like that was a personal call out or personal target. And Keyshawn said, I guess I'm being punished right now. I guess. I don't know. I don't really worry about what I'm running in camp, ones or twos. I just keep my process and just keep competing and just compete. Um, I think Nixon's situation is kind of an odd one, right? Nixon was a Pro Bowler last year. He was kind of elevated into that Pro Bowl spot. I think we could all argue that I don't know that he played like a Pro Bowler for the season. And that's no disrespect to Keyshawn. I like Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn's a great return man. And if you get the ball in his hands, he can be a very big threat. But I also think that in that line of business, you need to be competing all the time. Like, I don't think you can ever feel like you're above competing. And that's not necessarily to be I'm competing on my team. Sometimes it's I'm competing across the NFL. So I think to think that you're above competing on your own team is a little odd for me. Like, I understand there's some ego with it. Like, I was just voted to the Pro Bowl last year. I was the top cornerback on the team, but the team is always trying to get better. And if they bring in a guy that they feel like is a better fit for the team, or they feel like can compete for that spot, you're going to have to compete or you're going to have to go home. I just, throughout the years, you've seen players get upset. I remember when Nick Barnett lost his starting job to Desmond Bishop, he made a comment about like, "Oh, I don't know how you lose your job when you're hurt." And it's like, yeah, but sometimes that talent just comes through, and that's the player they ride with. And Brandon Cisse has been making those plays. He's been that physical corner. He's been kind of running with the ones in practice, where Keyshawn's been running with the ones and the twos, and they are just trying to see what they have right now in that room. I think competition makes us all better. Now, if it were my job I was competing for, maybe I'd change my tune. But I just think that as a football organization, you have to be used to competing. That's a year in, year out, week in, week out. You are always competing. So Bill says, what I'm seeing in camp is Dean and Simpson as DBs having a good camp. Yeah, Simpson's one that I've been hearing about as well. I will take it. Any cornerbacks that we can get in there that are going to be having a good camp, we will take. That's an area I think that we are very weak. Carrington, has kind of been out, so getting him back would be nice. But that's an area that we're weak, and it wasn't an area that was really addressed. I thought we were going to. We obviously took Brandon in our second round, but I thought we would have maybe loaded up a little bit more considering how weak that area kind of felt. But we loaded up across the defense, which was good. Go Pack Go all day says, so Keyshawn Nixon could be cut or traded. I don't necessarily know about that. If it were, obviously he could be. If it were my franchise, and I was in charge. And now, granted, I don't see behind the field, behind the scene things. If he's being a poor sport, say you put him as a backup or as more of a depth piece, and he is just being terrible about it and just not providing that value to your team, sure, maybe you cut him or maybe you trade him. If the Packers were to move on from Keyshawn right now, his salary this season is $5 million, with an additional 2.166 in cap hit. So it'd be a total of 7.166 in cap hit. So if the Packers were to release him or trade him or what have you, it would open up $5 million in cap space, but would have to eat that 2.166. I don't know that the Packers do that just for the sake of, I think, if you are already weak in a position, to get rid of a guy who played all year in that position, and it's not like he was Ladarius Gunter 2016 NFC Championship game against Julio Jones liability. So it's not like, he made some plays. He had that interception to seal the game against the Bears at Lambeau. He made some plays. He made some great reads. He made some things, but it doesn't mean that you can't get better at the role. But I personally wouldn't cut him unless he was being a really big nuisance in that area. But that's just me. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but Patrick, we've already seen how you run a franchise, Ben. Yeah, I should have worn my Super Bowl ring because I got one, Patrick. I got one. Now we did end up in cap hell at the end there, but we're not going to talk about that. That's on Madden. Go Pack Go says Nixon gave up 13 penalties last season, was tied for most in the entire league. Good stat. I didn't see that, but it doesn't surprise me. It does. That's the thing. Like you gotta. It's a tough. I couldn't be a corner. No way in hell. I panicked too much. It would just not be good. But I think that's where you have to kind of trust your ability sometimes. And I think sometimes corners will panic when they feel like they're out of place. And I think that's what I really loved about Sam Shields is Sam could rely on his speed to kind of help him out of those issues where some guys just panic and get a little bit grabby. Patrick said, have one of the best cornerbacks in the league and still couldn't get more than one Super Bowl. That was true. You're not wrong there. That cornerback though didn't do much for me. That was fun. A lot of you guys might have missed it, but we did Madden last during the off season. That was a lot of fun. Integrating some players or some of the people who were watching into it. But the other kind of camp news or big talking point right now is also less than ideal. Aaron Banks is dealing with some knee issues. It sounds like tendonitis in his knee that flares up when he does strenuous football movements, which is not an ideal thing considering the Packers just signed him last year to a 4-year, $77 million deal. Goot has done pretty well in free agent signing. We got Xavier, Josh Jacobs. We got the Smith brothers years ago. He's done pretty good in landing some guys. But between Banks and Hobbs, I feel like those are two big whiffs that really took your team from hopefully taking that next leap to, man, we wish we could have gotten that one back. But, he also landed Micah, and so we'll take that. We hope that he's back sooner rather than later and can really get out there and wreak havoc on him. But, yeah, those two are two he'd like to have back for sure. And I think that's the tough part with free agency sometimes is, and it's one reason why Ted Thompson stayed away from it a lot, is you tend to overpay for guys that you probably shouldn't because of the fact that you are competing with everyone else. But I think you can't have it one way or the other. Ted, I think, was a little bit too conservative with it. And if you're too aggressive, you're going to land yourself in some issues. But Swaycota says, just did my part helping fundraising for the local high school football team. That's cool, man. What's going on with that? Patrick says, I don't know what it is, but we need to look better in strength and conditioning. We have far too many injuries every year. I think we feel like that because of the fact that we watch our team. The 49ers, I think, have to be one of the most injury cursed franchises. I know they're looking into the potential of being next to the power plant thing if that's part of it. But they have had a lot of injuries. I think we oftentimes as fans, we like to be like, oh, it's our team that's dealing with this. And it's pretty much every team that's dealing with it. We just feel like we're more sensitive to it because we watch our team that much closer. Or at least that's how I feel about it, or my opinion on it. Oh, the kid going door to door for the $20 cards. I had one of those stop at my house the other year, but they haven't stopped again since. I'd be a proud supporter. Let's get into these burning hot questions. If you have some questions, feel free to start dropping them. I have some to work my way back through. Here's that giveaway link. If you have not entered yet, do so there. If you have already entered, do not enter again. I will be doing the giveaway drawing later on in the episode. You don't need to be here the entire time, but you do need to be here when I draw the winner. So, like I said, this is how we are monitoring our yearly giveaway entry that will happen just after the Super Bowl. So make sure you're entering in there and keeping that going. Let's get into these burning hot questions. Feel free to start dropping them. And we are so back with my friends over at Legend Larry's sponsoring this series or this show, sponsoring or supporting me for another Packer season. Huge thank you to them. They have some fun news coming up. They not only have their all of their existing locations that we've talked about in the past, the Green Bay, Sheboygan Falls, Manitowoc, but they are also adding a Milwaukee location, which is super exciting. Good on them. Huge thank you to my friends over at Legend Larry's for being proud sponsors of the show yet again. I know I'm a sucker for Legend Larry's. I am a sucker. All right, let's take a look at some of these questions. Dakota says, do you think there's any weirdness for Rodgers knowing you're on the other team you beat in the Super Bowl the last time they were both there? Do I think I don't know that there's any weirdness to it. I think it's probably one of those things that maybe he likes to laugh about. There's that meme I saw that's like it shows like Rodgers and McCarthy. It's like a cartoon. It's like Rodgers and McCarthy, like, yeah, let's go. I think there's an expletive in there, but it's like, let's go F up the Steelers. And then it shows them again this year, 2026. They're both on the Steelers. It's like, yeah, let's go F up the Steelers. And I think it's kind of funny, but I do hope that they do kind of well. I would love to see a Packers Steelers Super Bowl, assuming the Packers go out on top on it again. But I do hope that Aaron and Mike do well in Pittsburgh. I think kind of the beautiful part about them being in the AFC is that you can kind of root for them in a way, or at least, hope that they don't crash and burn. But I think it's interesting though. It's, it kind of comes full circle. Aaron had a lot of success with Mike and now ending his career with Mike. So I don't know that there's any weirdness for him, but maybe other people don't like it as much. Good question though. Joshua said, how long before Green Bay retires 12? Officially retires? I could see them waiting, 4 or 5 years down the way, like they did with Favre. Favre retired after the 2010 season, and then they retired it in 2015. It wouldn't surprise me if they do the same thing. Wait that 5-year period, 4 or 5 years, and then retire it, just so for sure he's out of football. Do it before he goes into Canton. And hopefully, like Favre, hopefully they do a ceremony at Lambeau Field and sell out the ceremony so we can all be there and honor him. Favre and Rodgers are such different people that I wonder how that I just don't know how that whole thing is going to go. What's kind of interesting to me and what I've been kind of mulling around a little bit. So Aaron obviously has had a lot of choice things about the media. He doesn't like the media, but the people who vote for the Hall of Fame are media members. Now, I know people with the Packers that are in that media space, and they speak very, very highly of Aaron. But I am curious if, given when Aaron gets to that point of voting, are certain media members going to take it personally, some of the remarks he said, and feel like they need to not vote him forward? I would be very surprised if Aaron's not a first ballot Hall of Famer with 4 MVPs. What, Brett Favre obviously was, and I think Aaron's career surpassed Brett's. Maybe that's my opinion, but a lot of people, Brett obviously made his second Super Bowl, but I feel like Aaron statistically across the board had better numbers, less interceptions, all of those things, more MVPs. But I'm curious if there's going to be some of those that vote no strictly because of that bias, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Good question though. And Joshua also says, "What's your opinion on all the talk about Nixon?" I actually answered that one, so we kind of talked about that. All right. Patrick said, "Besides Smack, who are you mostly eyeing to make an impact this season?" I think Baron Sorrell. I'm really hoping that he takes that next level in that pass rush. He actually got in trouble in practice. Barron did for bull rushing. I think it was Anthony Belton, and he bull rushed Belton into Love, and then Matt kind of chewed him a new one for making contact with Love. I personally don't think you should, in a situation like that. I don't think you should be chewing out Barron. I think you should probably be chewing out Anthony. If you get bull rushed so badly that you get pushed back into your quarterback, that should be on you, not Barron. Like Barron's doing his job. You know, maybe that's the wrong approach, but I think you're yelling at the wrong guy in that situation. But I think Barron's a guy I want to see take the next step, especially with Micah being out for 6 to 8 games. That's the guy I'm keeping an eye on. Him and LVN, if they can get some pass rush, that'd be phenomenal. Barron's been working out with Micah this off season, so hopefully we kind of see them take that next jump. I also think DDS is going to be a fun one to watch. Danny Sutton, he he's a big man, so if he can get some pass rush going for the team, the pass rush is the big thing without Micah that you need to really focus on. Offensive line is also something I'm concerned about, but uh, it was a pretty rocky one last year as well. So hopefully we can kind of take that next leap. Sorry, I keep coughing. I'm not used to talking this much. Even when we were doing the Madden things, I wasn't talking this much. Chad said, "What is your realistic expectation of the 26-27 Packers team? Not looking for a record prediction, just what are you looking for? Um, looking okay. I think your autocorrect hit you there. What you're looking okay, kind for, or king for? I don't. I think you're going to see my prediction. I think you're going to see my hope is that you see Matthew Golden take that next big leap. Tucker kind of keep going where he's at. I think offensive line is still going to be shaky throughout the year. I hope I'm wrong there, but that feels like an area we're going to go. My hope is that you can stay pretty competitive through those first 6 to 8 games, so that way when Micah comes back, you can keep guns blazing. I think it's going to be another tough year for the NFC North with the Lions and the Bears, and I still think that the Vikings are going to be pretty competitive with Kyler. I just I think we're going to have another year of a really tough division. I also don't I don't know that Chicago takes that next jump forward. If you look at the Bears last year, and I'm not saying this like I'm not knocking Chicago by any means. Um, like I think last year they had a lot of games where it was like this bottled magic, and they would win just like these crazy last second things, and it just kept happening. And it seems like every year you have that team that kind of has that horseshoe, and last year felt like it was Chicago's time. I just don't know that they can replicate it that same way. Caleb's a magician. He does a lot of crazy things. He can extend plays. He's elusive and he does a lot of great things. But I don't know if you can keep winning those crazy fluke plays the same way. So, but that being said, I still expect Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit to be very competitive. Now, obviously, injuries can happen that kind of derail that, but it feels like it's going to be another year of just a tough NFC North. Um, Hopefully, the Packers can win the division and actually get a home playoff game this time. Chad says, if you could collaborate with Legend Larry's to create a new flavor, what would it be? Oh boy. To be honest with you, Chad, I'm a big buffalo guy, and I think Legend Larry's buffalo sauce is perfection to me. Their Scary Larry in DOA are some of my favorite buffalo sauces. I always keep them in my cabinets. Um, I don't know that I could collaborate on a sauce that is better than what those two are, especially because I'm a big buffalo. I think buffalo is my favorite flavor profile for wings. So I don't know that I could do anything um a little bit more. Maybe a variation. They have raspberry habanero, maybe like a mango habanero or a pineapple habanero, something more of a citrus habanero. Maybe something like that. But because I do like a mango habanero as well. But that buffalo sauce is perfection, and that's not even because they're sponsoring me. I will tell you that till I'm blue in the face, even years after they stop sponsoring me. That buffalo sauce is perfection. MJ says a jalapeno garlic parmesan. Interesting. Tony says, "Is this the year that Golden becomes the guy?" I don't know. With the Packers, I don't know that you're ever going to have, at least in this current scheme, I don't know that you're ever going to have the guy. I think Matt's offense is always going to be one guy's going to snap off. One guy's going to have a big game. Christian's going to have a big game, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Next game, he'll have 1 catch for 4 yards, and Tucker's going to have the big game. Matthew's going to have this. But I think this is the year that you see Jordan and Matthew really take that chemistry to the next level. It sounds like in practice so far, Matthew's been having those big plays with Jordan, and I think you're going to see that translate onto the football field. The Packers are just in this offense. It's just a different vibe. It's a different perspective. It's a not perspective. It's a different just way of how they go about things. Where maybe if you had a true number one, you'd see that, but I don't know that would be the case. I think you're going to see guys have their week every single week. I'm still a little sad that we lost Rome. Obviously you can't keep everyone, but I loved Romeo. I think Romeo was a like a good, really good hands receiver. So Kyle, missed you too, man. Glad to be back. Glad to be back talking Packers football. Kirby says, "How about a dry rub?" Yeah, dude. I wouldn't be opposed to Legendaries getting a dry rub again. We've talked about this before, but they did have them back in the day. It's kind of a logistical nightmare for her, but yeah. Go Pack Go, Kyle. Thanks for popping in. MJ says, "I need to get to Legends every time I'm there. I'm too early." Yeah, their hours are a little weird because like on certain days of the week they're not open until like in the evening, and it is a little bit tougher. Casey says, "How do you feel about Brother LaFleur coaching Cardinals? Would be nice to see the brothers go head to head." Well, I probably will get to see that in the final home season or the final preseason game at Lambeau Field. The Cardinals and Packers are going to go head to head, so I think that's going to be a really fun one. I'm happy for Mike. I think it's time for Mike to have that opportunity. He's coming into a tough situation. Matt came into a much better situation with Aaron Rodgers still there. Mike's kind of coming into this team that feels like it's in a rebuilding phase. They just had a top 3 draft pick last year. They have just they're not in that same level that Matt, when he took over the Packers, were. So it's going to be probably a bumpier road for him, but hopefully he can see some success there. But I do think it's fun that he's in the league, and I can't wait to see that final preseason game where he comes to Lambeau Field and they have those joint practices and all that comes with that. So that'll be a fun one. Go Pack Go, Alfonso. Good to see you, man. Ty says they're saying Wicks is looking like Eagles wide receiver too. Wicks is a phenomenal receiver. Great route running, could get open, but it seems like he had up and down years where he had a lot of drops, a lot of issues like maintaining the ball. The Packers had three of the top receivers last year that had drops, like the top drop percentages. The Packers had three of them in Wicks. Who was it? Wicks. I don't think it was Rome. I think Jaden was one of them. I don't know. I can't remember fully, but they had three of the top receivers that had drops last year. So Wicks is a tough one because it's like he was a very talented player, but at the same time, you weren't going to be re-signing him anyway. So at least you can get something for him and give Matthew more of those opportunities. So I don't think it was Savion. I don't think it was Savion. I don't think Savion got enough opportunities to be in that list. But anyway, appreciate all the good questions. These were a lot of fun. We can get moving on here. I'm going to mix things up a little bit this year. Last year, I did giveaway and then I did story of the week and we wrapped up. This year, I'm flipping it. I got some feedback. Ty says Reed was gone most of the year. You're right. But I still think he was in there enough that he was in that percentage. But now it's going to bother me after that, Ty. And I don't think it was Rome. Romeo feels like he doesn't drop enough to be on that list. I'll have to see if I can find it. I don't know. But this year we're going to flip flop, and I'm going to do the story of the week, and then we're going to do the giveaway. So here's that giveaway link. If you have not entered yet, do so. We're going to be drawing the giveaway probably another 5-10 minutes. Raimundo, Go Pack Go from California. Are they bringing another jersey this year? Another uniform is on the way. It's supposed to be releasing in a week on August 25th. I think it's August 25th. They're debuting their Rivals uniform. It's interesting. The Rivals. It's interesting. I was talking to a friend about this years ago. I guess it's longer than I realize now, but you look back early 2000s and it felt like you got a throwback once every blue moon. 2010, they came out with their throwbacks, the yellow circle blue jersey throwback. They ran those for a couple seasons. Then they did like the ones that they did in the early 90s. They kind of did another variation of those. But at that point, they started doing throwbacks like every 3 to 4 seasons. You'd get a new throwback. And now it feels like every single year it's a new throwback or a new variation. And you can't even like get a connection to that jersey anymore. With that 2010 season, they wear these throwback uniforms and a couple of, 2 years in a row, and you can kind of get a little bit of a connection to it. Now it's not the case at all. It's like every year you get a new throwback jersey. Here you go one game. I'm sure it's probably just a money grab, but it is a little disappointing. You're like, I want to have a connection to this jersey. I can't buy a jersey that they just wear one time and then never touch again. I mean, I guess you can, but it just feels weird. All right, Steve, I'll answer this one, then we'll move on to the story of the week. Burning hot question. If you were offered season tickets, would you take them if the stipulation was that during the Bears, Vikings, and Lions game, you had to wear the away team jersey? Nah, absolutely not. I would not take them. Great question. I would not take them. I think the odds are that you get all three as a green ticket holder. Not great. But I just think that, I'd rest on my laurels if I did that. Could I say I don't know, you couldn't even do it in a way that is a very obvious diss on that team either. So I don't think that there'd be a way I could do that. I don't know that I would wear the opposing team's jersey kind of for any reason like that. If I want to get tickets to a game, I can find tickets easy enough that I don't need to I don't need to sell out. I don't need to sell out. Mr. Hurley, good to see you, man. Patrick said, even as expecting a black jersey for rivalry, do you see that as a possibility? See them going back to maybe another classic theme again, but it would be cool to see them black jersey. I don't know what to expect at all with it, to be honest. I've seen some stuff show up online of like all green variations, but yeah, I don't know. I think we're supposed to talk about the Broncos game, but we're running a little bit late. I'll talk about the Broncos game for very quick, and then we'll get to the story of the week. We're still figuring out the flow of the show. Okay, still figuring it out. But Packers versus Broncos this Friday, 8 p.m. start time. I'm an old man. I got a young child. I can't be starting a football game at 8 p.m. Are you kidding me? 8 p.m. start time. It's in Denver. Denver took care of their first preseason game, beating Falcons 27-7. Things I want to see, like I said, we're going to be quick on this one. Pass rush more consistent beyond just the first the ones and twos. I want to see a little bit more consistency there. Trace Mack, keep watching him. We're going to be in that Denver high altitude. Maybe he'll make a 70-yarder for us. Love to see him kick some of those big ones again. Cornerbacks not panicking so much. I felt like against the Steelers, there are so many times where they were in good position. They had it all taken care of, and then they panicked and started grabbing and got a defensive pass interference. Easier said than done as an overweight man in my mid-30s watching on the couch, but that's what I want to see. I want to see him just kind of trust the process a little bit more. And that comes with time and reps and those opportunities, but just trust the process. And then the last thing, and it's something that the Packers have lacked for over a year now, is I want to see some turnovers. This team was brutal at taking the ball away last year. I want to see that change this year. I want to see some of those start happening early in preseason. 65-yarder for sure. That would be nice, Ty. Raymundo says, would you run your starters this game against the Broncos if you were a coach? I think I'd maybe still do a series or two. I know they were talking about the analytical data of players who played in preseason seem to have less likelihood of getting injured in the regular season. I think it's a tough dynamic, right? We lost Jordy in 2015 in preseason in Pittsburgh, lost him to an ACL on the year in a meaningless game. So it's a tough dynamic, but also I think when you look back 2009, 2010s, around that era, the final preseason game, starters played most of the game. And I feel like we've seen teams kind of pull away from that for a while. And then you see a rusty football team come out for the first couple games. I think you maybe don't play 3 quarters, but I would like to see a kind of ease into it. Now, you lose a preseason game, so you kind of lost some of your time to assess this talent too. So that's the other tough part about it, as well as you have less time to scout the talent you have on your team before you make cuts. And so you don't want your surefire guys to play as much because you want to assess that. So it is a tough one. Ty says my research turned up that Green Bay had 0 players in the top 25. Are you talking drop percentage in NFL 2025? Where's that stat here? I'm trying to see. Now it's obviously not the best time, but even last year they were talking about the Packers had like the top drop percentage at some point. Now I'm looking it up, and it probably doesn't make sense for me to sit here and do this, but let's see here. It was like drop percentage, not strictly drops. It was drop percentage. So like, I know I see a lot of stuff about number of drops, but it's a drop percentage. Let's see here. And it's only by wide receivers as well, but not the biggest of deals, I guess. Maybe I misspoke, but I see the like similar list. So maybe I misspoke. Because I saw at one point in time there last year they were showing that they had 3 of the top receivers. So good on you for keeping me honest here, Ty. All right then. And maybe that was at some point in the last season. So anyway, there you have it. Disregard me, but still, I remember last year we were having issues with drop percentage on some of our guys, and Wix was up there for it. I'll see if I can find that after this, or I'll look into it a little bit more. But let's talk about the story of the week. Do the story of the week. Here's your last chance to enter the giveaway before we get out of here. I'm going to hire Ty as a fact checker for the show, because Lord knows I'm going to say it's not going to be the first time I say something wrong. That's for sure. That's why I'm not paid the big bucks to do this. That's why I'm independently signed. But I think fact checking is important, so I appreciate that, Ty. Let's talk about Bobby Dillon. I know you guys are coming into this and you're like, that's what I was expecting is Bobby Dillon. This is one of those fun facts that you're probably going to enjoy sharing with others. And Ty, you can even fact check this one after the fact. If you don't know, Bobby Dillon played safety for the Packers from 1952 through 1959. And during those 8 seasons, he recorded a whopping 52 interceptions in just 94 games played. In other words, he was recording an interception in every 1.8, 2 games. In every 2 games, he was getting an interception. As of today, in 2026, Bobby still holds the franchise record for interceptions, nearly 70 years after he last played the game. While that's incredible on its own, it gets even more impressive when you learn that Bobby lost one of his eyes as a child and played his entire NFL career with a glass eye. There's even a story that during a game, his glass eye fell out, and as he was picking it up, a referee noticed it, and he quipped to Bobby. He said, "What would you do if you lost your other eye?" Dillon responded, "I'd be a referee." What a legend. What a legend. Love that story. Bobby Dillon, just wild to be that dominant with one eye. Had to start that one. Ty says I'm not cheap. Ooh, I can't afford an expensive fact checker. I'm gonna just make up everything and we'll see what happens. No. Chris says, are you approaching 10 years since starting your page coming up next year? Next year, man. September 2017 I started this. So 10 years next year. Maybe we'll have to do something fun for it if I'm still doing it next year, which I think I will be. All right, let's do this giveaway. We've been waiting patiently. Before we do anything, though, we, of course, have to thank the people who make it possible. And that is my friends over at Nicolay Law. So let's give Nicolay a quick shout out. The Midwest personal injury law firm, whether it's a crash, a slip and fall, or something else that leaves you injured in dealing with insurance and medical bills, Nicolay Law knows how to help. They walk you through your options, handle the insurance companies, and fight to get you what you deserve. No upfront fees, just local attorneys who show up when it counts. You can reach them at 1-855-NICOLAY or visit nicolaylaw.com. Huge thank you to Nicolay Law for making these giveaways possible. Like I said, without them, I would not be able to do this. I would not be able to do any of this. So I appreciate them immensely. All right, let's get this. Got to make sure I don't have any duplicates, of course. When I'm posting it numerous times throughout the episode, we tend to get some duplicates every once in a while. Ty, I'm updating your name. Ty the fact checker guy. We got Katie lurking in the shadows. Fantastic. All right. And just a reminder, once again, we are I gotta separate the Tullys here if they're not already. Just a reminder that every week you enter this whole season long, you are entering for the last show as well, for that grand prize just after the Super Bowl. So be here every week. Keep increasing your chances. And hopefully, I'm hidden in the corner, but that's fine. You don't need to see me. Oh, Katie's lurking. There she is. Good to see you, Katie. All right, here we go. Good luck, everyone. 25 entries tonight. We have the winner will have to choose 1 through 35 and up or down. Good luck. Oh, Swag Coda. I think there's a question there. Swag Coda, is that back to back for you, man? That is. Swag Coda. 1 through 35, up or down, please. Hopefully he's still here. Hopefully he didn't leave us. I'm going to have to start the minute timer. Uh-oh. He's still here. He's still here. 1 through 35, up or down, please, Sway Coda. Do 32 and up. Congratulations, man. 32 and up. I guess I didn't even need to say up or down. It's the first set. So all the numbers are there. Kirby back to back rigged. Kirby's back to being a poor sport. All right. Swag Coda. You have picked yourself up another $10 Packer Pro Shop gift card. That's what you won last week. You're swimming in it, man. You're swimming in it. Awesome. Thank you to Nick Laylaw for making these giveaways possible. I really enjoy doing them and being able to give back a little bit to you guys who are supporting me. So that's going to do it for us this week. I can't wait to see you guys next Tuesday. I'll try to come with more stuff written out rather than just spewing stuff off the top of my head of what I read last year. So that way Ty doesn't charge me too much money on fact checking, because your boy can't afford it. But I appreciate you guys immensely. It's great being back talking some Packers football. I look forward to doing this every single Tuesday, the entire season. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. See you same time, same place next week. And until then, go Pack, go.